What's up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into a Hero's Escape, your place for all things HEROSCAPE. Today I've got another lore video for you, so this is back-to-back lore videos. This one is Thormun's Journal Chapter 3 Part 2, because this journal chapter was just so long that I could not simply do it in one video. So we're going to begin this one with journal entry number 28. But in the meantime, I just want to shout out my fantasy novel, The Price of Renewal, which is available on Amazon in paperback, hardcover, and ebook. And also, I wanted to comment on my Marvel HEROSCAPE playthrough video. That did not perform the way that I was hoping it would. I kind of had the thought that if I have some clickbait title like Marvel Rivals, the board game, that it would get me views, but it just performed about the same as all of my other videos, which I have to thank my viewers for that, because the fact that I have such consistent view numbers through videos, even if it's not a ton, it at least suggests that people are returning to watch the videos. So that's a good sign, and that's enough to keep me making them. But without further ado, let's get started with Thormun's journal entry number 28. Here it is. Inscribed by Thormun of Teleron on this day, the 12th day of Ranvag. The ruby-eyed viper is snaking its way through my restless slumber again, when I am suddenly startled awake. Tyrion puts a finger to his lips and makes a hand gesture beckoning me to follow him. He weaves his way through dark halls as I follow. Tyrion has always struck me as an odd sort of fellow. He trained under Olar as one of his protectors, and still carries their unique style of crossbow at his side. However, shortly after the rise of the Valkyrie, he joined up with Jondar and has acted as a sort of messenger. So there's a little bit about Tyrion, and I'm not entirely sure if there's a figure for that character, but anyway, we'll continue. Tyrion comes upon a door at the end of a long hall. He slowly turns the knob and slips into the room beyond. I follow after him. The room stands empty but for a very large fireplace built into the far wall. Tyrion turns to me and speaks in a hushed tone. What general would lead an army from an empty and abandoned place such as this? I know Vidar commands a sizable force and does so with efficiency. But where are the warriors, healers, messengers, and generals moving about conducting the affairs of war? While the rest of you slept, I went seeking answers to my questions and discovered this. Tyrion moves over to the fireplace and feels along its stone face. He comes across one of the blocks, which is a darker tone than the rest, and presses in on it. The sound of grating rock is heard as the inner wall of the fireplace shifts and moves away, revealing a long tunnel lit by a red glow. The fireplace is tall enough that we need only to duck slightly to walk into the passageway that opened up. The walls of the tunnel are made of smooth dark stone. The red glow that illuminates this place shines out from odd strips of light that run along each side of the hall. The floor slopes steeply downward, and as we venture forward, we find that we are continually making right turns. The passageway seems to be twisting its way downward in a spiral. Also, just a quick side note here, if you're a little confused by this, go back and watch part 1 of Thormun's Journal Chapter 3. And in addition to that, we have Thormun's Journal Chapter 1 and 2 videos that you can go and watch as well to get fully caught up on the story. Alright, continuing. As we descend the spiraling corridor, a sound begins to grow. It's the sound that the surface lacks. Activity stirs beneath us. Precaution says to turn back before Vidar finds us snooping, but curiosity pushes us forward. Forward we go down, down, down for what seems like an eternity, until we take our last right turn and see the tunnel open up into a huge pillared underground hall. Despite its massive size, the hall is well lit by the same mysterious red glow that lights the passageway. Many exits line the walls here. A flurry of activity in and out of the arched passages all around allow us to go unnoticed, standing in the shadow of our seemingly unused entryway. The sound of 1,000 metal feet clanging against the stone floor reverberates off the great hall as a battalion of Solborgs marches through the center of the hall and file out of one of the larger passageways. The Solborgs are the most abundant of all the soldiers here, but there are also quite a few humans from Earth. They walk in small groups or alone, hurried about their business. The hall here seems to be but a convergent point in a great underground city. I'm going to read a little bit about the Solborgs for the viewers so they know what exactly is a Solborg. Solborg is a species, I don't know if that's the word to use, but okay, in HEROSCAPE. It refers to a species from the world of Alpha Prime, formerly known as the Meridians. Yeah, weird. Who have implanted their souls in mechanical shells. Ah, now I see how it's a species. They're the Meridians, and they've planted their souls into robot bodies. This has ignited a civil war between the Zeti Combine, the Omicron faction, and the few Meridians that remain. The left side of the hall is particularly noisy. What looks to be specialized Solborgs drill and dig and carry away mounds of dirt from a newly forming tunnel. There's no telling how long Vidar has worked here in secret, how massive this underground complex is, and how many places and where at it leads to the surface. But one thing is certain, Vidar holds more secrets than any of us could have guessed. This is journal entry number 29, inscribed by Thormun of Teleron on the 19th day of Randveg. The urgency of our task has driven us deep into the murky heart of Bleakwood. The trees here are black and twisted. Dark leaves cling to spindly branches. Their gnarled arms reach out toward the daylight in search of fresh air. They won't find what they seek. The air here is anything but fresh. The trees grow close together, shutting out the light. They create a world of eternal darkness, and in that darkness dwell creatures with souls as black as Bleakwood's moonless night. Our every sense strains outward, prodding at the darkness for any hint of trouble. Every snap of branch underfoot, every creak and moan of the trees, every last sound that breaks Bleakwood's silence has our hearts jumping in alert. However, the danger that approaches makes no sound at all. In the next moment, time seems to stretch itself out. I watch as every detail slowly unravels itself in the span of an instant. Tyrion pulls back on the reins of his horse. He drops behind a grouping of Olar's protectors, and with a calm and deliberate look in his eyes, he draws his weapon, points it squarely at the back of one of the protectors, and fires. The crossbow bolt whistles through the air and finds its target with deadly precision. The protector cries out in pain and then slumps over in his saddle. Confusion and chaos set in. Horses whinny as they're forced to turn sharply, their riders looking for the source of the attack. Before I can react with even a word of warning, because of a reloading mechanism in Tyrion's crossbow, a second bolt is loosed as quickly as the first. Shades! Time snaps back to its usual speed at the sound of Konken's cry. A dozen translucent figures appear from out of the blackness beyond the trees. Spack! That's their onomatopoeia there. Algigia! Another protector falls to one of Tyrion's bolts. Beldoon twists in his saddle, drawing his sword and cutting down Tyrion in one smooth stroke. Beldoon's eyes catch mine. Wiping a splatter of Tyrion's blood from his brow, he heatedly shouts, "It's the only way to stop a man possessed by a shade, is to kill him." Damn. The other shades descend upon us, closing us in on all sides. The three remaining protectors send bolts singeing through the trees, partly due to the dim light and partly the speed of the shades' movement. Few find their mark. Beldoon calls out, "Don't let them engage you for long. Strike them down quickly." I leap into the air, losing my hammer from its belt. I dive toward the closest of the phantoms, bringing my hammer down from over my head, sending it tearing through the shade, which dissipates into nothingness. Spinning around, my hammer finds another shade and sends it into the ether. The two swift scores come at a price. I've left myself open for an attack. Another of the shades tears its ghostly claws through my side. I cringe in pain as I feel the creature attempting to devour my very being, invading my soul. But I am saved by Kelda, who sends her spear sailing through the attacking creature as she lands next to me and touches my side with her healing hand, instantly making it whole again. "They're retreating," shouts Konkan. A quick surveillance of the area shows the damage. 3 of Olar's faithful protectors lie scattered upon the ground, and with them Jondar's most trusted messenger, Tyrion the Swift. We have been dealt a terrible blow this day. Of our 11 brethren, only 7 remain. We surely won't survive another onslaught like this. We make haste for Lindisfarne. No one sleeps tonight. Alright, next up we have journal entry number 30 from the pen of Sergeant Drake Alexander. My blade runs through guts, bone, and sinew. The creature's lidless eyes go blank as it collapses to the ground. Turning, I cut through another and another. The skinless bodies pile up at my feet. The fetid smell of their exposed innards makes my head swim. A bitter taste burns at the back of my throat as my lunch tries to escape my stomach. Marro flood in endlessly over the valley. Their ranks stretch out beyond the end of my vision. Also, someone please put in the comments if I'm pronouncing that right. Prior knowledge, I've always called them Marro, but prior knowledge suggests that it would be pronounced Marrow, which would make sense because they're skeleton-looking things. But anyway, you've got your run-of-the-mill, fin-headed, spear-wielding Marrow, and they've brought plenty of those. That's the Marrow drones. I would assume so. Yes, it is. They've brought the ones that look like twisted dogs. Those will start you hacking and wheezing something awful if they come in too close. Both of them types are average enough. I fought plenty of them in my countless battles here on Valhalla. It's the new ones that have got me nervous. Know your enemy. It's the basics. It's rule number 1. But the enemy keeps changing form and face. They've upgraded their arsenal. Some of them wield pistol-type weapons, while others carry heavy-looking guns that fire lightning from their metallic mouths. Okay, so I do not think Sergeant Drake Alexander is with Thormun. If I'm not mistaken, this should be like the beginning of Swarm of the Marro, and he is at a different location. Crack, caw! The screeching sound screams past my right ear. Sonlin's little pet, the winged lizard, lands on a Marrow, like a hawk on its prey, snapping and clawing. Another Marrow steps forward, taking the place of the one downed by the lizard. Sonlin forms a ball of glowing and shifting light in the palms of his hands, and with a thrust of his arm sends it sailing at its mark, hitting the Marrow square in the chest. The light appears to consume the creature, running in streaks from out of the Marrow's body as it falls to its knees, turns to ash, and is blown away on the wind. Distracted by the light show, I'm too late to notice one of the heavy gunners making its way up my flank. I hear the distinct sound of popping electricity that their guns make when charging for a blast. My head snaps in the direction of the sound to see tendrils of energy leaping in my direction. I instinctively raise my right arm, now clad in Solborg armor, to cover my face while clasping shut my eyes. After half a moment, when I don't feel the stinging power of electricity surging through my body, I open my eyes. The world lies in shades of blue. Turning, I spot Raylan some distance behind me. Her spear is raised to the sky. Her protective aura engulfs me. She's learning to extend it further, and in doing so saved me from the Marrow's blast. Aha, she has a larger defensive aura, which I think is reflected by the figure, by the card and the figure itself. Sonlin stands at Raylan's side, his strange pet perched upon his shoulder again. I fall back to join them. Raylan shouts out over the noise of battle. Our lines are breaking. We cannot hold against them much longer. Then, as if called into existence by those very words, a new threat emerges. The Marro Dragon Rider. And I believe that would be Subakna. Tales have spread through Jondar's camp of this dreadful Marro leader. He rides on the back of a fleshless dragon, and now he has joined the battle. I can see the hideous beast swooping in on tattered wings. The rider on its back shouts in an alien tongue. His words create a frenzy among the Marro fighters. The very sight of the dragon rider and his awful mount causes our soldiers to break ranks, fleeing in terror. My question about this is, for the lore purposes, with Subakna and Miberksa, who have a skeleton horse and a skeleton dragon, if these are aliens from some other planet, how is it that they have horses and dragons? Like, I'm a little confused by that. Or did they just get them through Valhalla and through Utgar using the portal and then turn them into, like, these Marro creatures? I'm not entirely sure. Alright, this is journal entry number 31, also from the pen of Sergeant Drake Alexander. Soldiers retreat in hysterical disorder all around me. I shout orders that go unheeded. I push through the breaking ranks, attempting to rally our forces, to no avail. The Marro are closing in all around. The retreating forces stumble upon themselves and each other, and the Marro collapse in upon us. Left with no choice, I call for the retreat. Back to the wall, I cry. The Marro dragon swoops low. A rush of wind washes over me as it passes close by overhead, picking soldiers out of our ranks with its razor-lined maw. The wall of Olar's yet unfinished stronghold swells wider and higher, filling my vision as we fall back to its safety. Soldiers drop screaming on my right and my left. The feeling of inevitable doom grows within me. I wait to be shot in the back and take my place among the fallen. Just as the thought of my own demise nearly consumes me, a wave of arrows sing from their bowstrings, raining down upon my pursuers. That's supposed to say pursuers, so that's a typo there. Raining down upon my pursuers. The archers on the wall ready a second volley and release. The Marro make a terrible noise as the arrows find their marks. Now turn! I scream, spinning on my heels and raising my sword. The soldiers turn and envelop the Marros, who make it past the steady stream of arrows pouring down from above. The dragon-riding Marro circles just beyond reach of the arrows. It swoops and rears up, its underside facing our stronghold. It beats its wings in long, hard strokes, buffeting our arrows. Buffeting, never been sure about that word. I don't know if that's reference to a buffet like a restaurant or if that is something completely different. So anyway, sending them sailing off mark. The beast stays there, suspended in midair, sending wave after wave of wind against the archer's arrows. Without fully understanding or realizing the consequences of my actions, I lift my metal-encased arm, pointing it at the torso of the fleshless dragon. As I squeeze down on a lever fitted in my palm, a piece of my new metal arm breaks loose at the wrist, whistling through the air toward the beast. The flying piece of shrapnel expands into a clawed hook, taking with it a thin metal cable attached on the other end of my arm. The grapple grabs hold of the skeletal dragon's long spine, and with another squeeze of the lever, the cable goes taut. The earth spins beneath me, and my feet become free of the ground. I slam into the dragon, sending it reeling backwards. The beat of its powerful wings washes over me in steady gusts, which is kind of funny because the wings are all tattered and stuff, but anyway. I grab onto a ridged vertebrae and hoist myself up hand over hand, bone after bone, scaling the mighty creature and working my way around its back. Breaching the dragon's side, I look up. My knees go weak. I see nothing but blue sky, a flurry of black wings, and the dragon's skull bouncing up and down behind the shadow of its rider. Hanging on with one hand, I reach down with the other and search for the metallic snap which holds my pistol in its place. Freeing the weapon, I take aim on the Marro. The motion of the dragon's flight makes it difficult to steady my arm. I wait for a moment, timing out the beat of the dragon's wings and adjusting my arm to match. My heart pounds in my chest. My throat has gone dry. I finger the cold steel of my revolver's trigger, letting the point of it dig into my fingertip. Slowly I pull back until the weapon jumps in my hand, its lead shot cutting through the air. I would really like it if Sergeant Drake Alexander had range with this pistol, but he doesn't, because his figure does not have a pistol for some reason. The rider slumps in his saddle, falling off the side of his mount and tumbling to the earth below. I climb up to take his place on the dragon's back. The entire battlefield comes into view. From here I can see the end of the Marro's ranks, and beyond that the bitter sea. At the foot of our stronghold my men still wrestle against the breaking tide of Marro, which pin their backs against the wall. And then a new movement catches my eye. My army engages the Marro on their southern flank. These are no troops of ours. They are Solborgs, clad in the dull gray armor that distinctively marks them as belonging to Vidar's cause. They have come to our aid. Thormun is successful in his quest. I draw my blade from its sheath and swing it in furious strokes, hacking at the enormous dragon's right wing. It flails in response. I hang on tight with my left hand, still swinging at the wing with my right. The dragon dives and twists, trying to free itself of me. We fight there for a time, suspended, reeling around and around, losing all sense of space and direction. There is a flash of white and green. The taste of dirt and blood fills my mouth, and I find myself tumbling across the rough ground, the dragon flailing alongside me. Struggling to hold my consciousness, I feel my body flood all at once with a paralyzing pain. A black wing blocks out the sun as it collapses on top of me. I lie there still, drained of my strength. Through the wing's thin membrane, I see the fuzzy outline of Marro legs scattering in all directions, as I hear the robotic stomps of the Solborg army on their march. As the last of the marching metal passes me by, I hear the whine of hydraulics. The wing that traps me is lifted off, and into my field of vision comes a pair of glowing eyes. In the droning voice common to all Solborgs, I hear, "I am called Q10. Whew. Journal entry number 32. We are back to Thormun. This is inscribed by him on the 24th day of Ranvag. I walk on and on, past golden pillars, each guarded by its own bronze-skinned statue. They look forward, unfocused, masked faces set like stone. More of the same bronze curie lead in front of us and follow from behind. The golden dome of Einar's palace ducks in and out of view as the arches of the long bridge float by overhead. Below me, I see the still waters of Mirror Lake reflecting the rare scene. Seldom do visitors come unbidden to the Golden Palace. A waft of sage and wildflowers drifts past my nostrils as two thick gem-encrusted doors are pulled open on noiseless hinges. So now we are at Einar's palace. I would have really liked to have gotten different fortress sets for each of the Valkyrie generals. That would have been so cool to have like a gold fortress of Einar and one for Vidar and all this stuff, but they never did that, unfortunately. But if I had a bunch of fortress sets, I could just paint them and do it myself, I suppose. But anyway, light floods the vast room, streaming in through tall windows lined up in rows. Deep purple, heavy curtains hang parted on either side of those windows like great locks of hair parted to reveal a bright face. 4 giants of white marble hold up the ceiling with brawny arms and bulging backs. The winged giants hold such fine detail that an onlooker might fear them coming to life and abandoning their posts, leaving the ceiling to collapse in upon the tiny curie beneath them. And also, I really hope that Renegade makes some more fortress sets, or some sets with very cool terrain and obstacles like that. I would like more fortress stuff. Slowly we walk forward, passing the giants as we approach the throne, standing only as tall as their broad shins. There on the throne sits a dark-haired Kiri, adorned in golden armor, studded with amethysts as he stands and takes a step forward. His violet cape rises and falls smoothly again behind him. Everyone else in the room falls to one knee, and I alongside them. The very sight of his majestic face and broad shoulders, the way he moves and holds his head just so, makes one feel as if they belong on their knees, as far below the mighty Einar as they can manage to stoop. "Rise, visitors, and tell me, what is it that brings you to the Golden Palace?" A deep voice thunders off the granite walls. I rise to my feet at its command. I've been laying out my words since departing from the Montfree Manor. Carefully, I practiced how each syllable should be pronounced and the timing of my breaths between sentences. All of that is lost at the sound of his voice. I search my mind for the stored up words and push them past a tight throat. "Einar, your lordship, we come on behalf of the Valkyrie Jandar, Olar, and Vidar, seeking an alliance against the atrocities of Utgar." That is all I manage to force out before my throat cuts off my words in a squeak. I bow my head and fix my gaze to the floor, avoiding the drilling stare of Einar's dark eyes. "We all fight the same adversary. Already our alliance stands unspoken. Yet the sharing of spoken words and a coordination of efforts may yield great benefits to all involved. The realm of Bleakwood stands betwixt us, and it would seem a deterrent to such an alliance, or is the opposite true? Is a surrounded enemy not more easily defeated?" I manage a nod of agreement when Einar pauses, as if the questions posed are not rhetorical. Einar leans over and speaks into the ear of an aging Kiri, dressed in long flowing robes. The old man lifts a hooked nose into the air as he turns and shuffles out of the room via a small door behind and to the right of the throne. When he returns again, 4 Kiri follow after him, all beautiful women, all dressed in deep violet. Each one carries a mirror with a golden frame of intricate design. "These are a prized possession," announces Einar, "the fabled looking glasses of Valentella. One will stay here with me, the other 3 will go out with you, to be gifted unto Jandar, Olar, and Vidar. The mirrors are magically linked so that when a certain word is spoken, one can peer into the mirror before them and see and speak with whomever stands in front of the other 3 sister mirrors. Each mirror requires a different word. I know the words of all 4, and the 4 servants of the looking glasses know the only word of their own mirror. Each will speak their word to no one but whom I have given them permission to speak it to. They will travel with you and stay with their mirrors. Protect the servants of the looking glasses of Valentella, or their words will be lost from you and the mirrors will be useless." We're getting there. This is journal entry number 33, inscribed by Thormun of Telerin on the 26th day of Randvag. Dark eyes watch from behind golden masks. Einar does not suffer even allies to roam his land without a personal escort of his Imperium. And we do have a picture of these guys. Those dual-bladed warriors follow us even now as we ride up the length of Mirror Lake, departing Lindisfarne, drawing even closer to the edge of Bleakwood. Einar's close watch on us doesn't seem to be an attempt at hiding something, but rather the result of a rule set in place. Einar's empire is built upon rules and discipline. As we approach the place where Mirror Lake narrows and the crossing into Bleakwood can be made, I hear the sound of a great many warriors on the march. Putting a hand to my brow, I block out the sun, bringing into view a massive force in the distance headed our way. I instinctively reach for the shaft of my warhammer. Looking about, I see that Beldun sits with his back arched in his saddle, watching the distant force intently, as do the others who set out with me from the halls of Olar on that windy morning not so long ago. Einar's Imperium look alert, but that is no tell. Not one of them has failed to convey a constant look of vigilance on the duration of our long and uneventful ride through Lindisfarne. The beautiful women with the perfect skin and the dark purple dresses hold no look of alarm, only careful watchfulness over the golden mirrors hidden away in the satchels worn across their chests. I let go of my hammer and bring my hand back up to the reins of my horse, watching cautiously as the long lines of soldiers march towards us. The sun glints off the tips of swaying spears and arrowheads as they dance to the beat of several hundred footfalls. The sound of marching soldiers grows so loud as they pass that it feels like a weight pressing down on my chest. The soldiers are all humans from Earth. They are from various cultures and times, but here Einar has made them one. They march in perfect synchronicity. Some wear woven hats coming up to a point on the tops of their heads and carry spears and rifles like those carried by Jondar's soldiers of the 4th Massachusetts. We will get some pictures in here of all this. Then there are others that look to be straight out of the time and culture of Jondar's blue-coated allies. Only these wear coats of red. Some of the warriors carry tall, brightly painted shields, and others smaller round shields. Some wear heavy armor and helmets, while others are armored only in cloth. Some carry swords and others bows. For all their differences, they are the same, all marching their steady march, all wearing their emotionless faces, all focused, all disciplined. I watch as the last of Einar's army marches past, returning from battles fought somewhere beyond the borders of Lindisfarne. When suddenly the sky goes dark, my eyes dart upwards to behold an enormous creature flying overhead. Its scales are red and golden all at once, majestic to behold. As it passes by overhead, it lets loose an awful noise, sending flames leaping into the air all about its body as it twists itself over in a spiraling roll. Einar has summoned himself a dragon. And what dragon is this? This is Zelrig. I've never had that figure before, so that's interesting. Journal entry number 4, inscribed by Thormun of Teleron on the 27th day of Randveg. I released Kelda from her guard duty. No reason she should have to avoid sleep while sleep does its best to avoid me. The night sky is starless, and I am surrounded in a blanket of deep darkness. My lookout duty has me doing more listening than looking. I sit here with my eyes open but sightless, my ears focused on the blackness around me. My mind drifts to thoughts of home, to thoughts of the Teleron that once was. I walk back through a window in time, pulling in the smell of herbs drying on the window of the stonework house my younger brother keeps. His beautiful wife busies herself about the garden while the children play their game, flying about the large tree that grows in front of the house. The young ones spot me and fly down to wrap their arms around me, all at once nearly knocking me over backwards. I pull wooden toys out of a satchel and watch their small eyes glitter with excitement. The dream is broken. A sound rustles behind me. Silently, I turn and strain to see through the darkness with no success. The sound is that of our supplies being prodded through. Maybe an animal, or one of our company who was not satisfied with their ration of food last night. I stalk toward the direction of the sound, moving silently through the dark. My eyes catch the glow of a light. Dim, but a beacon in the blackness. A slight figure hunches over, its back to me. The figure has come across some of our Balian leaf, which we carry for its healing properties, but it also lets out a slight glow visible in the dark. The form revealed in the Balian leaf's glow is slender, and in the shallow glimmering of yellow-green I can tell it is the shape of a woman, a very young woman. Her hands nimbly pick through our supplies until she comes across a loaf of bread. She pulls at a cloth mask around her face and chews on the bread in famished mouthfuls. In a low voice, I call out, "Who are you? What do you think you're doing?" Startled, the girl reels around as if to take off, but pauses and reaches back to grab another loaf before she goes. I catch hold of her arm. She fights my grasp and throws the stolen bread at my chest. The noise of the struggle wakes Kelda, who has not fully drifted into sleep. Lighting a torch, Kelda comes over to where I'm holding the bread thief captive. By now, I've got a hold of both the girl's thin arms and am sustaining surprisingly powerful kicks. "Stop it!" Kelda whispers to the girl in a harsh voice. She stops kicking and looks over at Kelda. Her demeanor reads in such a way that you can tell her intent is not to cause us any harm. "Tell this brute to let go of me," the girl shouts in a voice loud enough to wake every sleeping thing within 100 yards. "Swear you won't run," says Kelda. "Eck, I won't run. Just tell him to let go," the girl responds in a shrill voice. Kelda nods at me and I let go of the girl. More and more torches light up in the darkness as the rest of the camp is awakened by our encounter with the young thief. The girl immediately reaches for the purple cloth mask she pulled away from her face to eat her stolen meal and hides herself behind it. "Who are you, and why are you stealing our food?" I ask in a stern voice. "Shiori's the name, and I stole it because I was hungry," says the thin girl in a mocking voice. "Where did you come from?" I've been following you ever since you crossed the bridge. I know you didn't notice me. My skills of stealth are unmatched. I'm going to be the greatest ninja who ever lived. We got female Naruto over here." Why? Why are you following us?" I ask in a gruff voice, annoyed at answers that require more questioning. "I'm running away," she says, lifting her chin in defiance. I let go of a sigh and then press her further. "Running away from what?" She responds with a spark of anger in her voice. From everything and everyone who tells me what to do and who to fight. I was brought here by them," she says, nodding. "I was brought here by them," she says, nodding in the direction of Linda's farm. "But I fight only for myself. I'm not going back, so you can forget about telling me to. I'm coming with you guys." Okay, I guess she's going with them. Okay. "You don't have a horse. You'll never keep up. You'll be stranded in Bleakwood and die." "You don't want me to die," she says with big eyes. "I guess you're going to have to give me a ride." Kelda pulls on my arm and whispers into my ear. "She could be a spy." I whisper back, "What have we to hide? What need is there to spy on our allies?" "I'm just saying, be wary of her. We could leave her behind and let her foolishly follow us into Bleakwood if she pleases." "I'm not saying to do that. I'm only saying to be careful." "Of a masked thief? Yes, you can count on my being plenty cautious." Okay, one more journal entry. This is the end of chapter 3. Holy crap, this is long. Whew. This is back to Sergeant Drake Alexander. So this is journal entry 35 from the pen of Sergeant Drake Alexander. Streams of light shooting in through arrow-slit windows are made visible by particles of dust floating on the air. The room is rather stuffy. A great number of people are gathered around an oversized wooden table, making the otherwise moderately large room seem small. At the head of the table stands Atlaga, a tall Kiri with long blonde hair. He is one of Olar's men, in charge of the stronghold here, and he speaks authoritatively. "Beldoon and Thormun have returned. An alliance has been formed between the Valkyrie, Olar, Jondar, Einar, and Vidar. Some of you are here as a result of that alliance. As you all know, trouble stirs in the swamplands and jungles of the south. It has been decreed that a small band of warriors will brave the Valkyrian wastes and venture into the jungle below. The goal is to scout out the jungle and return with whatever news can be gathered. Jondar has foreseen that the jungle holds a secret of great significance in the war for Wellsprings, and has sent Sergeant Drake Alexander and Raylan the Kyrie warrior for the purpose of leading the proposed band of warriors. Raylan stands and speaks out in that clear and confident tone of hers. We have chosen the heroes who will accompany us on our journey. Sonlin, the elven mage, for his knowledge and skill with the magical arts. Major Q10, a leader in Vidar's army who successfully quelled the most recent attack by the Marro on this very stronghold. And finally, the young ninja that Einar summoned, who accompanied Thormun's party on their return trip from Lindisfarne. Thusly, our company will have representatives from each of the 4 allied Valkyrie generals. And there you have it, guys. That is Thormun's Journal, Chapter 3. That was a long one. It took 2 different videos to complete. If you guys like this and want more HEROSCAPE lore, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Please leave some comments if I'm pronouncing things wrong so I can get it right in the future. And down the road, I will be doing a comprehensive lore video after I complete all of Thormun's journals. So once again, please like and subscribe, and thank you very much for the support. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks again.